GM, we are live, and I clicked go, and it snap filled on us. I am sorry. I wanted to be able to get you all into this. This is a BBM. I got two BBMs left, and this is one of them. I really wanted to run my last couple with you all. So my next one, I will try to make sure people get in. But good morning. We're at the end. I cannot believe it. Hot best ball summer is concluding. For some of us, it was a cold best ball winter, a rainy best ball spring. We're back at it though. We're here in the sixth hole. I just can't believe we're at this point in the year, but it's been so much fun hanging with you all. Joel, GM to you, thanks so much. Longtime friend of the channel, really appreciate it. Asking how is BBM still open? I thought it was going to fill this weekend. I am on record saying I thought it was going to fill on Saturday, and it's a Tuesday, and we're still not full yet. Dirty P saying it only takes 4484 sickos to max BBM. How many do you think? Hold on, my computer's going absolutely haywire on me here. I restarted right before the stream because my camera was lagging, so I don't know what's going on, but it's not happy right now. Hold on, let me catch up with everything. All right, yeah, Dirty P, I don't know. I really don't know how many max entrants there are. I feel like best ball is simultaneously like bigger and smaller than we realize. Like it feels like we're this big community, but then I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how many people are just like silently in the streets, but not like, you know, in the YouTube chats and in the Discord. So I don't know. Maybe I would have assumed there's only about 1,000 people maxing this contest, but that is literally based on Stone Zero data. I feel like maybe someone at Underdogs put that out before. Whohames, sup fam, GM to you, thanks so much for coming in. Whohames, really appreciate it. I was skeptical it would fill, like everyone was saying. Yeah, no, you were right about that. You were definitely right. It's taken a little longer for the people who are actually here to watch best ball content. I took CMC there at the 6. Let's see what comes around to us. A-Chain's been a faller. It seems like he's going to be okay and is in line to play week 1. So I would be happy to take A-Chain if he comes to me. Otherwise, we'll see. Probably going to start this one running back. We're going to end this with a little robust RB unless the room really doesn't give us anything. But I have a hunch it's going to. So let's queue up A-Chain. Let's queue up Jonathan Taylor. And we will try that. I think I have a few. I think I recently did a Bucky CMC start. So, all right, well, let's take A-Chain. Let's take A-Chain there. I don't think that's something you could have gotten early in BBM if you wanted. And there was a long period where you could not, as A-Chain almost pushed his way into the first round. And so I think this will be somewhat uncommon, at least as far as builds from July. Let's pull the board back up. Greg, GM gang, GM to you. Greg, thanks so much for coming in, hanging out. B Grandy 17, thank you so much for hanging out. Tyler, what's up? Good morning to you. Appreciate the support. Greg saying puppy overlay 80k left. I have not checked the puppy because I have 2 of these. I have about 6 DK millies. I've got a couple 555s I got to do, and I think if I'm going to chase anything, it's going to be sprints. Although I've like sat in lobbies for more than 10 minutes. Like I assumed with the overlay looming, people were gonna start piling, and maybe that happens today and tomorrow. But sprint rooms are still moving slow. Skeletor. Oops. I have fallen behind here. GM to you, Crander 47. 2 shippers incoming. We can only hope. That the winner has not been drafted yet, because we're drafting right now. People are also drafting very quickly. So we've got CMC, A-Chain. Probably go wide receiver here. I don't know if I want to, go fully kind of zero receiver in this range. Although it is tempting to go Lamar Jackson in this spot. Let's do JSN. I don't think I have a ton of teams where JSN is kind of the anchor, but he could really be a massive volume hog this season. So he's a guy that I want a little bit more of. Maybe this is a little bit uncomfortable of a build, but it's also one that I know I don't really have I have not put this exact team together yet. Yes, 2 shippers incoming. Puppy might, but lots in their auto drafting. Yeah. And I don't like drafting when there's tons of auto drafters. It just sucks all the ADP value out of the room, and people just bump up all of their the DJ Giddensy types that you like in round 16, 17, they go in like the 14. So it kind of can just make the rooms super wonky when everybody's congregating on the same late round picks. Plus early on, you might not get the ADP value you want. So I just find it super annoying drafting with auto drafters. GM to you, Tiger Uppercut. Thanks so much for coming in, hanging out. Now my pick of you in the Hertzig contest can be locked in. All right. Well, yeah, if anything, this draft might do it. this draft, I'm only 5,300 in the Hertzig contest, and thank God Pete made his best ball basement guy 5,200, or I would have really felt attacked there if I had that price, because yeah, you don't want to be that guy. You definitely don't want to be that guy. Xavier Worthy goes. That's a little unfortunate. That's who I would have taken. I really like JMO. I would like a little more George Pickens in my life. Let's take Pickens here. As much as I do like Jameson Williams, we'll get a little bit different. I don't want to click the same things every single time. Although, this late in the draft, it's kind of, kind of get your guy season with 2 drafts left. We're not going to save any exposures, but let's do a JSN Pickens. I think that's going to be a little bit different. Best ball on call, GM to you. Thanks so much for coming in, hanging out. Skeletor, GM, very easy to slow finish maxing BBM on site credit. Yes. Yeah. They need to start selling those shirts, I think, in the merch store. The $5,200 Sharpie shirt. Who aim says, I got A-Chain in the 3rd a few times yesterday on DK. Yeah, I've gotten him. Yeah, I'm with you, Tyler. That's crazy. I've gotten him pretty late there on DK2. I don't know if he slipped into the 3rd, but I've gotten some pairings you definitely couldn't get before. That the Q tag is amazing. They really need to incorporate that into Underdog, because it lets you get some really nice fallers there. Who Hames says, Tyler got a Bijan, TJ, A-Chain, MHJ, Garrett start. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Garrett Wilson falling there. Yeah, Garrett Wilson is your 5th pick. That's pretty incredible there. JT, not TJ. Okay, I thought you meant Jonathan Taylor, and then I started, my brain started melting. All right, let's see. We're up at pick 54. For the audio listeners, we've got CMC, A-Chain, and then JSN and Pickens in a good spot with wide receivers. I think I would have taken Waddle to build out a Miami stack, but I am not going to pass on Calvin Ridley here. So we get Calvin Ridley in this team. All right. Dirty P says, there's more money in the puppy than the sprint, isn't there? Yes, but the sprint is going to overlay bigger than the puppy, I think. Just by virtue of, I think enough people are autoing the puppy with ranks and aping, and then I think that's going to get closer to finish than the sprint. The rooms, I don't know if 150 sprint rooms are even going to fire at this point. I have no idea. Maybe it'll pick up at the end, but it's been a lot of people have shifted over to PR. Tyler says, nice, was breaking my brain, about to go back to sleep if I couldn't think of who 2J was in the top 2 guys. Tyler, I was like, I think he's talking about Jonathan Taylor, but I was reading it so fast. Yeah, again, you throw acronyms at me in the morning, I am in a world of pain. Yeah, planting mental landmines, don't worry about it. Yeah, thanks, Sue. Tripping us up. He's scooping every Mooney share he can get, says Who Hames. Yeah, I agree. I feel like when I set out to do that, Mooney somehow is not actually there for me, which is, a little bit annoying. Somebody else in the room has the same idea. I would definitely take James Conner here if he falls to me at pick 67. If James Conner goes, which unfortunately he does, let's see. None of the running backs I'm really into are still here. Odunze is a possibility. I'm almost inclined to take a little Jerry Jeudy here. I've become a little bit Jerry Jeudy pilled lately, especially once Flacco got announced as starter. I was out on him early in the season because I'm just generally have been low on Jeudy for most of his career. But that, I don't know, with Flacco's been able to support pass catchers there. I think Cleveland is one of those teams that could be a sneaky good bad team. They could definitely have some pieces for fantasy that we're interested in. I mean, we've discussed Judkins to death this season, but I'm a little bit warm to the idea that Judy is a piece we could want, especially, I actually don't mind that Cleveland Pittsburgh game. It sounds really ugly, but it could be a game that flies very under the radar. But I don't know. There's some pieces that I'm definitely interested in on both Pittsburgh and Cleveland. So I don't know. I think it's probably has one of the lower totals. So Vegas is in strict disagreement with me there. But I don't know. I could see that game not being 12-3 like we're all projecting it. I'm not trying to get massively overweight, but I just have a weird feeling about that game. Pure vibes. No data to back that. No data to back that take up. All right, let's see. Speaking of guys we've been low on, let's get a David Montgomery on this team. He's another guy that I've been out on all season and lately have wanted to get a little more of. We all do the reverse. If Monty gets hurt, then Gibbs goes to Valhalla. But what if Gibbs gets hurt? I mean, I don't know. I don't mind David Montgomery. He is the best example of the standalone plus contingent value. And obviously we're taking him the highest of any of those guys there. But I am definitely into I definitely wish I had more than like 3% Montgomery. I wish that was closer to 6% because I feel like he's a fade that actually could really is one of those fades in this 7th round I think could kill you if the situation breaks right for him, which I don't want to have happen. I mean, we all love Gibbs, but if Gibbs is out, Montgomery is an absolute giga smash. Like, if Gibbs had gotten hurt in training camp and was like going to miss the season, where would we be taking Monty? We'd be taking him in the 3rd round probably. So Kelly, first of all, thanks so much for coming in and hanging out with us. My husband and I do several FFPC entries each year. The first one of the year, it felt like we were ice dancing and won the gold. But there's nothing better than a draft that just like goes how you want. I love that feeling when you're like 8 picks away and you're looking at a guy and be like, it'd be awesome if he came to me, and they actually go to you, and that happens a few times. It is really nice when you get those drafts that just you leave feeling like you just absolutely nailed it. All right, coming up to us, I like Hawkinson. I have quite a bit of him. Pretty into Jalen Warren. I was into him even before the contract stuff. So if we get Warren, then we're, again, that goes back to that Pittsburgh Cleveland game. That sounds disgusting, but we're going to get a little bit more of. I don't think I needed to rush out and get Dak here just yet. So far for the audio listeners, we've got CMC, A-Chain, Montgomery, and Warren. Wide receiver room of JSN, Pickens, Ridley, and Judy. Don't mind the way this team is coming together so far. Don't mind that at all. Huhaim says, Kelly, very nice to get a bunch of the slappy picks. I take it. Yeah, I love looking back at a team and seeing like Ollie Gordon at pick like 189 and like Krosky Merritt in the 200s. That's why we do it. That's why we do it. Alboogie78, good morning, my peeps. Hey, Alboogie, GM to you. Thanks so much for hanging out. Appreciate it. Krosky Merritt watch for those who are still doing that. Pick 96 for JCM. Kelly says, Huhames, I talked to my husband into taking Henderson, and he still does not like it. Well, I think I was breaking ties to Caleb and Judkins over Henderson for a couple week stretch that I wish I could have back in my life, because I felt like I was worried about Ramondre, which feels absolutely awful because I don't think Ramondre is very good. Like, he's not a guy I should have been worried about. I think Dak just went cool. All right. Let's queue up Kelsey. I like Travis Kelsey. I think he's fine. Shaheed would be fine. None of these quarterbacks are necessary. So let's just get Travis Kelsey on the team. That's fine there. I don't really mind Kelsey. I mean, I think he's going to have just one more good season. Getting him at pick 102 is perfectly okay in my book. At pick 115, let's see. So our quarterback options, Darnold, Dak just went. We got Ward. We got a Brown. So we're a little bit thin on potential QB options. Once we took Kelsey, that kind of eliminated the tight end QB stack. I mean, we could try to do like a Lovecraft thing. I'd almost rather look at locking up maybe a running back and then stopping at 5 RBs here, or potentially an elite tight end and stopping at 2. Or there's not really an elite tight end, a good tight end and stopping at 2, but the tight ends are all starting to go. So that might be out. We could potentially do a naked Fields. We could do a naked May. Interesting choices we have here. Again, I know I keep taking Scatabo, but I think if I took Scatabo, I would be okay stopping with A-Chain, McCaffrey, Montgomery, Warren, and Scatabo would be good enough for me. Okay, once Fields goes, let's do it. Let's take our guy Scatabo, and we'll stop at 5 running backs. I do so many teams where my last few picks are running backs that I don't mind making this team a little bit different. Obviously, wish he had a different bye week than CMC, but hopefully we can survive. We can survive week 14 there. Pull the board back up so people can see what's going on. All right. Pick 126. I don't know. Again, I'm just trying to think of what quarterbacks we're going to want on this team. This could be an Aaron Rodgers team with Warren. We could pick up one of the late Pittsburgh wide receivers. That's going to be an option. Cam Ward. If this team doesn't get Cam Ward, it's bad. It's bad. So we're definitely going to make him a high priority on there. Who Hames says, at least you two have something to argue about Sundays. Makes for good relationship building. Yes, my wife is very supportive of all this, but she just doesn't want to hear about it. So she does not know that our entire financial future is dependent on Cam Scatabo. I'm of course kidding about that, but it'll we definitely would like we'd like Scatabo to be good this year. Wow, everything has gotten absolutely disgusting. My God, I could take Goff. That's a little gross. I could take Kincaid. Why don't we take Kincaid? And then if we take Kincaid, we could stop at 2 tight ends, and then that would open up another running back on this team. I feel like people were probably had a quarterback in mind that I could have taken there, but I'm just not seeing it right now. I don't think any of these receivers are much better than the ones I'd get super late. If I get a falling Goff 10 picks from now, I could do Goff with Montgomery and then add a late Tesla. I think I would be okay with that. But there he goes. Pitts is there. I almost thought about taking Pitts and then taking Penix on the wrap, but I don't know if that's the best. Again, I could also take Tua. We could look at Tua goes. So that's out the window. All right, we really need to. Oh wait, no, Tua didn't go. T-Law went. All right, Cam Ward has flipped Tua. Very interesting. So let's get. Let's just not muck around. Let's make sure we get Ward on this team, or the wheels are gonna come spiraling off here. All right. Let's see. Dirty P says, I'd take JGM in the 6th if I had to with the seal. Yeah, the seals are getting a little out of control. Let's get Cam Ward on to the team. So we get Ward paired with Ridley. Probably should make this a Darnold team. I know, the Gigabrain thing would be to do Milrow. I might be more into that with an elite QB team as a third QB on a Josh Allen team but that might even be bad itself. I just don't know. I think taking Milrow at all is just a little bit thin. It's multiple bets strung together. First of all, you need Darnold to lose the job. Then you need Milrow to be good enough to hit your lineup. And it feels potentially a little bit thin there. It feels a little bit thin there. So for the audio listeners, we've got a 1-5-4-2. We got Cam Ward, CMC, A-Chain, David Montgomery, Jalen Warren, Cam Scatabo, wide receiver room of JSN, George Pickens, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, and then tight ends of Travis Kelce and Dalton Kincaid. Don't mind the team. Let's check the wide receivers left. Yeah, Tesla all the way up at 159. He's risen quite a bit. Thielen's ADP feels semi-fake. He's come up quite a bit. You used to be able to get Thornton. You used to be able to do Thornton Geno stacks late, but those two ADPs have converged pretty close. Now we see Geno goes at 165. So if you kind of got to go a little ahead of ADP on both, or you might get sniped. And I would be more inclined to take Thornton first, but I think it makes more sense for us to just get Tua and A-Chain stacked up and then end with Darnold. We could do Malik Washington. Let's just put Malik Washington into the queue so we don't forget him. Gotta scroll. Where are you, Malik Washington? All right, you know what? We'll do that later because we're on the clock. Let's make sure we don't miss anything obvious. Dylan Sampson, I still don't mind him, even with the possibility that Judkins signs. Not really sure if or when that's going to happen. So we get Tua onto this team. Sam Darnold. Let's see. Where do we need to take Darnold? Darnold at 163. If we push that, it's 174. Let's see. Who's going to be coming to us? These people. 1 QB, 2. So we could potentially push Darnold around the turn. Let's see where the Cooper Kupp guy is, because that's also going to matter a little bit for us in that decision. Where are you, Mr. Kupp? It's like a word search puzzle here. All right, Cooper Kupp is on my left. So the Kupp drafter has Baker and Stroud. So they're kind of live to take Kupp from us. This is a big fall on Kyle Pitts. It might be time for us to take another wide receiver. And if we have to do Aaron Rodgers, I think I can live. With that. I'd rather get one of Thornton or Tesla here. I think if both of them go, Adam Thielen's interesting. Wouldn't mind that. If we take Darnold, then Horton's a priority. So let's see what the room. Hands to us here. I'm almost inclined to just take Darnold and then take Tesla go. So let's just grab Darnold here and not risk that. I'll put Thornton there ahead of Thielen. So for the audio listeners, we've got a 3-5-4-2 with Cam Ward, Tua, and Sam Darnold. Running back room of CMC, A-Chain, Montgomery, Warren, and Scatabo. Wide receiver room of JSN, Pickens, Ridley, Judy, and then Kelsey and Kincaid at tight end. We might be a little bit light on receiver, but we're going to try to just stack up the late receivers that we like. Let's put Malik Washington in the queue there. So we're going to end this with probably add one more running back. I think I'm likely to stop at Kelsey Kincaid unless we get something fun like a Fannin bet we could potentially do there. Io Manners, kind of a exciting click. Troy Franklin, not too bad. Slayton, all these guys I'm willing to mix in to the bunch there. Certainly more important than the running backs, I think, on this team, although I do like Will Shipley quite a bit as he goes right there. So hopefully we get Thornton so that we end up with a Seattle double stack, or Horton rather, not Thornton. And we add him to the team. So not too bad. Our, again, a little bit thin maybe, starting with JSN, Pickens, and Ridley. But those are three guys I'm high on. And hopefully at least one of these late darts can connect for us. Bringbacks are going to be a little bit light, especially for Tua, but I'm pretty sure actually Tennessee plays Seattle, so we have we're going to have a big bet on the Titans Seahawks game. I hope I'm not making that up, but I'm pretty sure that's who they play in Week 17. The Dolphins, of course, play the Bucks. We could do a very late Sean Tucker. He tends to go undrafted on Underdog. Rachaad White apparently is back in the fold, but I am not a Rachaad White believer. Not a big Rachaad White believer. GM to you, Lutz. Thanks so much for coming in. Boy, I got behind on chat here. Who aims? I did forget to post my BBM exposures in your Discord. I just haven't done it yet. Yeah, we got to get those, Dirty P. We got to get those. Yeah, Who Hames was wondering about that. Weren't you autoing puppies? I caught you in a few. Kevin, GM to you, telling me not to muck around. That is good advice. I'm not going to muck around. And I know you said this a while ago, but I'm going to take that to mean just grab Malik Washington now. I'll be much more upset about missing Malik Washington than I will be excited about getting Adam Thielen here. So our next pick is going to be Malik. Who Aims. I use no tools. I'm trying to sort my structures. Looks like 2583 and 3672 are my most common. Yeah, I like that. I definitely have more 3663 than I wanted, but sometimes those teams just felt like they kind of ran out the best for me. Greg, I'm roaming the puppy streets, but not auto drafting. Were my teams that bad? Huh? Oh no. Accusing somebody of auto drafting and they're trying their best is pretty big. Greg says they're perfectly cromulent squads, at least for the next few days. Yeah, everything's going to seem really smart until Sunday at about 2:30 p.m. That's how it always goes. Dirty P asking Greg his username, which of course is Mooncat. Huhaim says Titans, Saints, Seattle, Carolina. Okay. I always get those. I get those four mixed up. I don't know why. I have lumped those four all together in my head. All right, so Seattle plays Carolina. So I have absolutely no bringbacks. I have no bringbacks whatsoever. Let's see. As the fan and bet has been made by not us, that's okay. Again, I'm okay with that. My queue has evaporated. That's not great. I think if I could get Keaton Mitchell, I would take that as a sixth running back pretty happily. I think over any more of these receivers. So let's get Keaton Mitchell onto the team. So we add a sixth running back in Keaton Mitchell, who I'm pretty into. I think he's more of the direct Henry backup and very explosive player when healthy. And we need one more wide receiver. Now, who will that be? There's not really a good Dolphin left. There's not really. We missed out on Io Manor. He was in the queue, but he went ahead of us. I still do like Diami Brown. I know I have an absolute metric ton of Diami Brown, but I'm willing to make him the primary option there. Other than that, it's such a mixed bag of choose your own adventure of dart throwback here. I mean, maybe AD Mitchell I'll add to the queue. All right, let's just do Diami Brown. I want to make sure I don't have any weird bye week stuff. A couple bye week 8 things, but not enough to dissuade me from ending with a Diami Brown share here. So that's it. The second to last big board or BBM in the books, a 3-6-7-2. Cam Ward, Tua, and Sam Darnold. Running back room of CMC, A-Chain, Montgomery, Warren, Scatabo, and Keaton Mitchell. Wide receiver room of JSN, Pickens, Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Torrey Horton, Malik Washington, and Dynamic Brown, and then Travis Kelce and Dalton Kincaid. I don't mind the team. It's not the coolest team stacks there. We didn't take a quarterback until pick 139 with Cam Ward as our leading stack, but I think I'm pretty into Cam Ward. I'm really into Cam Ward. If you see my exposures, I think he's my highest exposed QB, but I think we're getting him like way later than we ought to be. Dirty P says, I remember seeing you in a few. I do most of my drafts between 1 a.m. and noon Eastern time, but in the weekends, I'm in there at all hours. Greg says, how am I supposed to feel when half my teams are dead in the first week? Yeah, it's gonna hit hard. It's gonna hit hard. I almost don't want to click it, folks, but this is it. My last BBM, one remaining. I'm just gonna hop in if you want to get in. Let's see. We are waiting for 6. So if you want to join me, my last BBM, we are. It is down to it. The end of an era, people. The end of an era. I have had so much fun drafting these with you and streaming with you. We're going to keep doing BRs, though. We're going to keep doing BRs once Hot Best Ball Summer winds to a close. I'll be on tomorrow as well. I mean, I'll be on all week. But I will probably be doing puppies or sprints. I'll be doing this all the way till Thursday as far as the best ball stuff. We'll be doing a little bit of BRs sprinkled in there. I think ship chasing comes on at 10 today. So after this, we'll probably just do a couple BRs until 10 and get us out of here. The good part about BRs is I can kind of time them better than the big contest. So I can fill the full time till 10 because I like to start at 8:30. I like to hop off when ship chasing or Pete or Davis comes on and they come on at 10 a few of the days. So this will be good. This will let me kind of plan the streams out a little bit better. But again, thank you all so much for hanging out. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. Half hour into the stream and I have not asked for it. We're trying to get to 200 before kickoff. I think we're going to fall short. I was at 179 when I checked this morning, but you can be there. Hey, I see Mr. Worth here at the 11 hole. I'm so glad to be drafting this last BBM of mine with you. So again, thanks for your support. Thanks for drafting with me. Again, it's been so much fun. Dirty P says, I made a song out of Seattle, Carolina, so I'd quit forgetting those Tennessee, New Orleans, Seattle, Carolina. It was a parody of a James Taylor song, Carolina, in my mind, and I just hooked Seattle to the front. However, you got to remember it, Dirty P. I don't know what it was. I struggled to remember a few of the games, and I might next year have to become an overlay bro. We'll see how I do. We'll see what the results are this year. I don't want to really change it. I like fighting the machines, but I like to have that information. So it's a fine line for me. I don't really want an RTA. I don't want anything that's going to like suggest who to draft, but I do think it's helpful to have exposures just so I kind of know. Again, I worry that I'm going to weight that too much, and I'd like to have the matchup. So I said I had CMC ranked at 1. We're going to do our last draft. We're going to take CMC, although it was tempting to take Saquon at pick 6. I have to admit, I was tempted, but I said I was going to make CMC my 101 until the end, and that means living my truth. My truth is that we should have been making CMC the 101 all season long. Oh my gosh, Saquon at the 8. My goodness, rough buff fire there is getting an absolute gift, but you know what? We'll keep doing. Joel says, I'm getting Oliver Klemp. Best ball summer is over. Hey, we're just getting started here. We're just getting started on the channel. BRs are so much fun. I think they are. And, I don't think they've been solved. There's so many cool things you can do. There are so many fun stacks that you can make that are going to go largely unowned. There's the big BR. There's smaller contests. It's a really fun game. It really is a fun game, and you can keep it fresh. You can keep it fresh. It feels sometimes like in BBMs, if you go like way off the board, you're just kind of hemorrhaging value. Whereas in BR, you can, unless you're, I don't want to be stacking like Herbert and Keandre Lambert-Smith. Like that's probably bad. I guess that's a bad example because that's on the primetime slate, which is you can actually do. But I'm talking for the main slate. Like, there are things where you can scroll a little too far, but for the most part, there are a lot of really strong wide receiver quarterback pairings that are going to be owned in like less than 5% of contests. Like there's just a lot of really cool ways you can get different there. Greg with all the championship emojis. We're going to ship it. Joel says one more for good time's sake. That's where we are. All right, let's see. Pulling up the board for us. Oh my gosh, I would have loved Drake. If I had gotten Drake London CMC to end, I would have been best ball euphoric. I am so high on Drake London this year. I think I'm only at like 13 or 14% in BBM. I thought I was higher. I thought it was like 16%. That would have been like the cherry on top for me, but we almost got it. We were one pick away. I've been trying to get that combo for at the end of summer, and I hadn't been able to pull it off, but that's the way she goes. Dirty P says, BRs feel like a game of pick a number between 1 and 1 million. How can I not be in it? I mean, it certainly takes a lot to spike the big BRs, but there's like smaller size contests that are like Pete runs a 3 max deposit kingdom contest, which I think is like the best BR contest on the slate. That's kind of what got me hooked. I did that and I finished in the top 10 like in one of the first few weeks, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is pretty fun, and you have a much better chance of finishing, at the top of a smaller contest. Obviously, that's like a very obvious point, but I think it's one of those things where the smaller contests you can kind of sharpen your teeth a bit on it and have a better chance of not needing the like stone cold giga nuts like you do in the main BR. All right, we're back at the situation we were a minute ago with CMC there. And last time we were between let's see. You know what? No, we're going to do it. We're going to take Josh Allen. We're going to go elite quarterback on this one, and we're going to go another kind of zero wide receiver team and see if we can't land this plane here with CMC, Chase Brown, and Josh Allen. Let's figure out what happens. We'll do it live. Huhaim says Saquon at the 8 is the gift you love that breaks down when you get it back. It breaks down when you get it back to the house. I'm pretty into Saquon this year, man. He is a absolutely terrifying fade. I'm at market. I'm pretty much at market in the whole first round, with the exception of BTJ. I'm at like 4% of. Otherwise, I'm at 6% or more of I think the whole first round in BBMs. Greg says, get ready for that Jahan Dotson TD in the primetime contest scrolls. Hey, it's possible you just got to get weird in the primetime contest. I'll give my alpha. I'll give what I think. I don't know if I want to do a PTP or the main VR, but I think what's going to win the primetime Palooza is taking two of the good tight ends. I think there's a chance that the second tight end outscores whatever wide receiver you get, and I don't think people are doing it. And I don't suggest going double tight end often, but in my drafts, I've found that's like a viable strategy, and you really screw the other people in your room. I know you're not really competing against the other people in your room, but it can kind of throw them into a bit of a tailspin. So I'm not saying jam that every time, but consider it. Consider, especially if you go early tight end and one of the two good tight ends is still there. I think it's pretty live. Oh my gosh, if we can get Garrett Wilson, we will go absolutely thrilled. We're like one pick away from it. Oh my God, we got it. We got our guy, Garrett Wilson. Welcome to the team. All right, we got Allen at CMC, Chase Brown, Garrett Wilson. We are cooking. Greg says you can never scroll too far. You can, Greg. You can. Again, I don't want this to say what I said before. I don't think you should always go two tight ends. I think that's actually terrible. Like 98% of the time in BR, two tight ends is bad. But just look at it. Look at some of the 2v2s you're getting, because the wide receiver depth goes off a cliff. The running back depth goes off a cliff. And again, you might, if you have a late receiver you're into, or a late running back you're into, you might find yourself not hating a two tight end PTP build. All right, let's see. Dirty P says, Chad, are you wielding the CMC hammer through the stretch run? Respect the play. I was banging the BTJ hammer pretty hard at the end. Yeah, BTJ was just an unfortunate kind of variance casualty. I was actually kind of more heavily weighted towards the front of the draft. I think I got more early picks than late, and I was taking CMC early on in the draft cycle ahead of a lot of those guys at the end. So I think BTJ was a little bit the odd man out for me. That, and I do have some concern. I mean, they took Travis Hunter, pretty highly. Like I think Travis Hunter is actually a threat to usurp some of the stuff that we like. Some of the stuff that we like from BTJ. I don't know. It could just be a little weird week to week in Jacksonville, enough to make me. Like, I would rather have Drake London than BTJ, like straight up. I think Drake London Penix can't stop throwing to him. They have a really good playoff schedule. They play in a dome. Like it was just hard for me to click BTJ over Penix. And I think that was the other reason is I liked Penix all summer ahead of him. And I liked CMC at the beginning of summer ahead of him. And he was just like the casualty. I don't have 0. I have like 4%, but I'm definitely below market on him. Huame says my captain is Turpin for Showdown. Turpin is he's not always drafted in the primetime Paloozas either. If you want to just like jam a guy, I think he's live. Dirty P says, Chad, do you have any Carr or big Mike Williams? I have 1 share of Mike. I have no Mike Williams. And I know I have some pre-draft. I have Carr. I know I have Carr in one of my like $100 teams. Like I can't remember who was. I think it was DK. One of their like $100 3 max is a Derek Carr team, which is I literally drafted him like 2 days before he retired. It was like right before he retired. It was like one of the last one. So that was a little unfortunate. That kind of burned me there. But no, I did not fall for Mike Williams. Who Hames says this is the year everyone learns the second option in today's NFL isn't horrific for the lead guy. Yeah, I'm not saying it's like having a good second option. Like I'm not afraid of Lamb, and they brought Pickens in. Like it's more just the particularities of Jacksonville just feeling like it could be a little more squirrely than we want. Speaking of squirrely, let's take Isaiah Pacheco. Let's I don't know why he's squirrely, but let's take Pacheco there. I like him a little more than these running backs and receivers, and I think I can grab a receiver into there. So for the audio listeners, we've got Allen, CMC, Chase Brown, and Isaiah Pacheco, and a wide receiver room of Garrett Wilson and DK Metcalf. So don't mind this team at all so far. Let's see if we can't land the proverbial aircraft here. 8 picks going up. All right, Who Hames said, I did one primetime, was a solo shot. I got Turpin, you better believe it. Yeah. I mean, I like those the single entries. They can be a little rough because if the PTP, if Saquon like is the smash and you don't have the 101, like you just lose. Like there's a chance you need him to cash or to win, and if he outscores everybody by 20, it sucks. That can be the kind of bummer on the single entry stuff, especially in the short slates like a primetime palooza there. Oh man, we're gonna have some choices. So Juwan Jennings, of course, famously back healthy. Keon Coleman, though, on an Allen team, it's a little tough for me. Feels a little tough for me to pass on Coleman here. I don't think he's going to be there on the way back. We're going to lean into Josh Allen. I'm not a Khalil Shakir believer anyway. Again, it was very tempting for me to take Juwan Jennings because we're still getting a Jennings discount, and it sounds like he's healthy. We obviously do have CMC, so we have a San Francisco bet. So that was a little bit of a tough choice for me. I don't know if I made the right click there. But if I don't take Coleman, then my next stacking option is going to be Kincaid. And, he could always get snapped off early. I might want Kincaid and Coleman together anyway. So I did want to prioritize the Allen stack, but I certainly am sympathetic to people who were like, no, you bozo. We're getting Jennings 20 picks past where he went before all this holdout stuff that's now been resolved. Alboogie says, Chad, you do showdowns. I love them. Finished 5th in one last year. Yeah, I do showdown on DK. I do showdown on DK. I used to do it a lot more when I was trying to get King of the Beach seats, because that was my favorite thing. And DraftKings eliminated King of the Beach last year, which kind of sucks. But yeah, I would use them to try to savvy into that. So I used to focus a lot on Showdown. But I'll definitely do Showdown this year. I just don't know. I don't know what kind of volume I'm gonna go in on it. Dirty P says, I do the same when prioritizing my guys. 4% Amon-Ra St. Brown is as scary as your 4% BTJ. Yeah, it's like you gotta. If you're overweight on someone, you're underweight on someone. Like it's a zero-sum thing. Like your exposures are going to add up to. I don't actually know what your exposures add up to, but it's a number, and everyone's exposures add up to the same thing. And if you're high on one guy, you're naturally just going to be lower on another. Hawkinson would not be a bad click. Wide receivers get so bad here, my God. But let's just grab Hawk. I don't really want Jaden Reed and his broken foot. I don't understand Higgins' ADP still. I really think that he's essentially going to be a part-time player in that. And we're all writing Christian Kirk off, but if Christian Kirk stays healthy and their offense is humming, like, I don't know. I do worry about these rookies in Houston that we were just like taking hand over fist. So let's get Hawkinson onto this particular team. We'll see what else we get. We obviously need some wide receiver firepower here. Mooney, maybe we prioritize Mooney if he comes around to us at pick 102. Shaheed is still a fun click. I don't mind Godwin, but he tends to go a little later. Cooper Kupp, of course, I think is draftable here. But if we could get Mooney at 102, I think that would be nice. Obviously not as good as the people getting him at the 120s, 130s. Let's see. Justin Fields, of course, is a stack with Garrett Wilson, but being that we have Josh Allen, I would prioritize getting a 4th receiver. So let's get Mooney onto this team. I think that's it sounds like he's darn close to being ready for week 1. And again, we didn't get Drake London, so we'll leverage, maybe we'll leverage ourselves a little bit off of missing out on London there. Who Hames asked, am I crazy to think Underdog had a 20 or 50 max BR slate, only the Wildcat there, and I thought that was the one. Wildcat's 150. I think it's the playbook. I thought the playbook was 50 max. It's the one that they first launch. That was my recollection. I didn't think the playbook was 150, but the Wildcat I thought was the $3 150 max, and the Wildcat was like the mini version of the BR. But I am not good at memorizing this stuff. I'm like terrible with all the dog and I guess cat names that they do for the contest. But somebody might be able to correct me. On that. So we got Fields in the queue. Loveland Craft, interesting. I think I would not mind Chris Godwin as a 5th receiver on this team. Christian Kirk would be another good candidate for 5th receiver. I'll never complain about getting a Scatabo share. It wouldn't be terrible to take him and then possibly end at 5, but bye weeks are going to get a little wonky with that. Justin Fields goes at pick 109. That's not too unexpected there. Thinking about additional quarterbacks, we've got Penix is a possibility, and so is a late Aaron Rodgers. Don't mind that. Let's see what the room is willing to hand to us here. Who Hames is mixing things up most likely. Are you talking about in BRs? Because I don't have anybody this round that I'm like willing to lock button or do anything like super crazy there. Christian Kirk goes. That's a little unfortunate. I'm thinking about taking Kraft. I'm thinking about taking Kraft here and ending this team at 2 tight ends and going Hawkinson Kraft. I think that's what we're gonna do, and then maybe do a 3 QB team with Josh Allen. Which again, I don't mind going 3 QBs with Allen, because you do get those outcomes where Allen has one down playoff week, and then you can carry him through, and he'll be lower owned in the money rounds. But again, it sounds a little thin, but I think that's, again, I do also really like Tucker Kraft. I think Tucker Kraft has the potential to be pushed into the elite range of tight ends this year, especially with the injury situations going on with some of the Green Bay receivers. This foot thing from Reed doesn't sound like it's going to get healthy in the season. Oh, you said you're mixing things up with the names. Yeah, no, you're right about the Wildcat being 150, but let's see. Dirty P says, I'm still slurping the Knoll dip. Hard to let him go undrafted. Yeah, I mean, we play this game for week 17, so he's, oh no, and Kincaid's here. Darn it. Yeah, see, that was where I was perhaps a little short-sighted with my pick there. So now the question, do I take Love or do I take one of these receivers? I guess let's just take Josh Palmer. I've been a little out on Palmer. I was worried about some injury stuff that he was dealing with, but let's get him onto the team. We'll do a Buffalo double stack. I have cooled him quite a bit. I don't know if I love that click necessarily over like a Braylon Allen, but again, I do wish I could have the Kraft click back, because I could have taken somebody else and then taken Kincaid there, and I would prefer a Coleman Kincaid double to a Coleman Palmer double. If Kincaid is still there, I might have to reassess my priors and adjust accordingly. Let's see what Mr. Worth is doing. He's got Puka, Genty, and Daniels. Wide receivers he gets McMillan, Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden, and then Jordan, Mason, Josh Downs, Colston, Loveland, and Chris Godwin. So I like the team that he is putting together there. Joel says, random teams call when I'm trying to do a wake up best ball draft are so annoying. Yeah, well, random teams calls are kind of horrible at any time of the day, but especially if you're trying to get some drafts in there. That is like the absolute worst case scenario. All right. I will put Kincaid in the queue. I don't think I would pass him as a third tight end, even with this situation we've got here. I think that's too much for my for me to pass up there. I don't have any Javante, and I don't think I want my last BBM to be a Javante team. That just doesn't sound good. Michael Penix might be a better click than any of them with Mooney. So let's just see. Let's put these guys in the queue, see what the room hands to us there. All right. Biggest injury risk with Palmer is that he'll hurt your feelings. Yeah. I took a lot of Josh Palmer last year around pick 100 because I thought he was like, going to do stuff with Herbert. He didn't really do much. He didn't really do much with Herbert. I have to say that. All right. Ollie Gordon goes. Let's see gosh, I almost think I got to just pass on Kincaid here. This is a tough call. I apologize for kind of winding the clock at this point. No, let's take Penix. Oh no, let's take Penix there. I think that's fine. I am pretty into Penix. I do wish I had played that slightly differently. But I think if we do miss out on London, maybe it's for a reason. Maybe this really is a bigger year for Mooney. If something happens to London, we could see some huge value from Mooney. It seems like he's back and healthy, so we'll add him to the team. And then maybe if we want a third quarterback, I'm just going to put Aaron Rodgers in the queue so I don't forget about him as his ADP creeps up. And hopefully we do not have a star method catastrophe. I will say if Kincaid's here 8 picks from now, I will take him, but I would be absolutely stunned if he survives, and he does not. Okay. All right. So for the audio listeners, we've got Josh Allen and Michael Penix. We got CMC, Chase Brown, and Isaiah Pacheco, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Keon Coleman, Darnell Mooney, and Josh Palmer, and a tight end room of TJ Hawkinson and Tucker Kraft. Again, don't mind this team. I think it's pretty good. I was very in on Josh Palmer, then I was kind of out on Josh Palmer. So he's been a little bit back and forth. Of a player for me. Let's queue up. I think Tyler Algier makes the most sense now that we have Penix. Again, we can leverage things if something happens with Bijan. This is kind of like the if something goes wrong Atlanta team. We'll have, if Bijan gets hurt, Algier is a monster smash. If London goes down, I would imagine a lot of that would get funneled over to Mooney. So we'll add Tyler Algier to the team, one of the better contingent backs in the league, and I don't mind that pick or how this team's coming together generally. Ray Davis was on my radar, of course, as part of Buffalo, but I think the Algier upside with CMC, Brown, and Pacheco, I'm more okay with my fourth running back having a little less standalone value and a little higher contingent value. Whereas I think Ray Davis on the slider bar is a little bit more towards standalone plus contingent. I don't think his contingent value is quite as high, even if something happens with Cook. I don't see Ray Davis having the smash that Algier would be without Bijan. All right. Greg says, Joel, call HR, dude. Yeah, I mean, what are they thinking? It's Wake Up Best Ball. Been on Do Not Disturb for like 2 weeks now. It's crunch time, bro. Leave a message. Yeah, Joel's agreeing. Yeah, you've got to. You got to assert yourself. All right, so J-Dubs, he takes Hunter Henry on the team. You're the Daniels team. Okay, I could not remember if you were the Drake May team, but I think Hunter Henry is perfectly fine. Could not remember if you were building a New England stack. There goes Bryce Young. All right, so we've still got Rodgers in the queue. I'm okay pushing Rodgers. Again, if this ends up being a 2 QB team, being that we have Josh Allen, we do not need to force anything. Of course, this is a range that's fertile ground for tight end. Strange went, who I like quite a bit. Chig is one of my favorite clicks, but we're going to get a little different today. I like Demario Douglas, although I would be lying if I said I wasn't mildly concerned about Chisholm. I do have some legitimate Chisholm concern that he could take more of that role by the end of the year. He does, he did make the team. He's impressing everybody. Adam Thielen, interesting click. Will Shipley. Let's take Will Shipley here. We'll continue with the contingent value bets. Again, we passed on Saquon at the 6. Will Shipley, again, if something happens to Saquon, we think Will Shipley's going to be a smash. So we'll get 2 big contingent bets here. We'll bet against Bijan in Saquon here on this particular team. Obviously, I don't want that to happen. I have way more, Saquon and Bijan, and I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but when we play this game and we're building a portfolio, we have to account for potential injuries, and at least if they do happen, be positioned to take advantage of them. I don't know if I want to push Rodgers past this. I don't know if any of these receivers or anything is worth that potential shortfall there. Horton's interesting. Coker, of course, is unfortunately hurt. He's kind of off my draft board. Hollywood Brown, man, this is a big fall on Hollywood Brown, but I just don't think I just never really liked him that much. Like I have a really hard time clicking on Hollywood Brown, even on Mahomes teams. He's been a bit of a struggle for me to get to, but we'll see. All right, Mason Taylor goes, let's just get Aaron Rodgers onto the team and not risk that. Of course, we got 2 week 5 buys here, but that's fine because Josh Allen, I am more than okay with him covering the buys. So let me recap the team for the audio listeners. We got a 3-5-5-2 with Josh Allen, Michael Penix, and Aaron Rodgers. Running back room of CMC, Chase Brown, Isaiah Pacheco, Tyler Algier, and Will Shipley. Wide receiver room of Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Keon Coleman, Darnell Mooney, and Josh Palmer. And then Hawkinson and Kraft at tight end. You could definitely look at this team and say that we're light on receiver. That is, of course, because we went 3 non-receivers in a row to start this draft. I do consider Garrett Wilson as a wide, in the top tier of receiver. I know that is not the current opinion of the market or of most people, but I think he is just going to be hyper targeted in that Jets offense. And I think the same is possible with DK Metcalf. I mean, we do take flyers on Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin, but at the end of the day, it does seem like Metcalf and Rodgers are capable of putting together a rapport. I mean, Aaron Rodgers carried Devontae Adams to another, 1,200-yard season last year, and I could see the same thing. That's unfair to say. Nobody carries Devontae Adams. He carries himself, but they were able to form that partnership, and I could see that Metcalf having a really strong season there. Jonnu is a little hard to pass, man. We are in a range of fun tight ends that we are going to forego on this team, unfortunately. Wide receiver has gotten disgusting. Running back's gotten disgusting. I'm going to take a Blake Corum share. Again, we're just going to make these 3 running back bets, the pure contingency bets on this team. So we've got CMC, Chase Brown, and Isaiah Pacheco hopefully carrying the team. This is almost like a weird hyper fragile-ish concept where we have 3 guys that we're going to count on, but then we're going to have 3 guys who I think could step into that 4th role. So kind of taking a concept of hyper fragile and doing it in a 6 running back build. I'm sure somebody like Hertzy could say this more eloquently, but I think you guys get the idea of the way I'm trying to build out this particular running back room. And now we're just going to fill out the roster with some different wide receiver darts. I do like Malik Washington. I do like Roman Wilson. Those guys are fine. I don't think I want to do something too cute like Elijah Moore. Could we take like Ray McLeod? Sure. I just don't know if the upside is truly there. Torrey Horton is one of these guys who late season really could be something. I could take Jalen Coker because if he comes back and is healthy, then we're going to just look at this as a generational buying opportunity. But I don't know. The vibe is a little wonky there. Another guy who I think has sneaky contingent upside is Yoshi Voss. He is a guy who, if something happens to one of the 2 elite receivers in Cincinnati, he might have made some improvements. So he potentially could be a guy. Let's just get Torrey Horton in here, and we'll go with the youth movement. Take the exciting rookie over in Seattle. So our wide receiver room, making sure I'm not like crazy bye week stacking. No, I think we're okay. Of course, Roman Wilson's another week 5 bye, but that's what happens when you have 2 quarterbacks with week 5 buys. If you're stacking, you're going to get concentrated in that area. All right. Oh my goodness gracious me! My chat like froze, so I didn't know. He might chisholm himself out a roll. I'm here all week. Yes, don't forget to tip your bartender, folks. Yeah, I flew in from out of town. Boy, are my arms tired. All right, Greg says it looks like a Wix ass team. No, we don't do that here, Greg. You know this. You've been around long enough to know this is not a Duntavian Wix channel. Greg says your vision needs to be checked. Yeah, who Hames? I'm with you. That is not something I do. The Jonnu disrespect has reached an all-time high. Remember what he did for us last season? I know. I'm a Jonnu believer. Greg says, who got to open your third or fourth eye? See the Wix vision. Yes. You not only need to open your third or fourth eye, you need one of those, like you go to the optometrist and they put the big ass thing in front of your face. That's like what you need. That's what you need there. Greg says maybe fifth. Yeah. You need to be like a spider or a fly with like a whole ton of eyes, to get there. Let's see what Soyan does. I'm tempted to do something stupid. I'm tempted to take Fanon. I'm really tempted to make the Fanon bet, guys. I almost just could see Fanon with more upside than any of these jamokes here. I'm doing it. I'm doing 3663. We're doing Harold Fanon with our last pick of BBM, and that's it. That's it. What is more, me than impulsively taking a third tight end on a team that doesn't need it? I simply do not know. But for the audio listeners, recapping the final team of BBM, it's a 3663 with Josh Allen, Michael Penix, Aaron Rodgers, CMC, Chase Brown, Isaiah Pacheco, Tyler Algier, Will Shipley, and Blake Corum. Wide receiver room of Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Keon Coleman, Darnell Mooney, Josh Palmer, and Torrey Horton. And then TJ Hawkinson, Tucker Kraft, and Harold Fanon. And that will conclude BBM. I can't believe it's over. That's it, folks. That's all there is. There is no more. I can pull my BBM exposures up, and then I'll have that on the screen, and then I'll catch up with chat. So here we go. Best Ball Mania showing all 150, and that's the way she goes. All right. Mike says, as a guy who somehow ended up with 20% quorum, he's a great pick. Maybe, hopefully, God, let it be a good pick. I know. I came around to him late, so I think I caught up to almost 8% of him, but I do think he's really just a direct backup to Kyron. So we'll see. It seems like Dark West Hunter is going to carve out a little role, but it just seems like it's going to end up being Blake Corum as the primary there if something happens. Joel says that Commander's homer to your right is wrecking my Jaden Daniels day. Oh no, Joel, I meant to pull yours up. I missed it. I apologize. But yeah, there's nothing worse than the guy who goes into a draft being like, I'm gonna make a Commander stack, and then they don't get the quarterback, and they're like, I'm taking Debo 9 picks ahead of ADP anyway. That is always the work. I'm on the Savion side of that coin. My sixth eye is open. We'll see about Savion. He's a guy that I stopped clicking about a month ago, but maybe I will regret that. Yeah, he might need a sixth eye. Fanon was the right move, lower own. All right, thanks, Who. I appreciate that. I don't know. I mean, I don't go out of my way to make bad picks. Like, I can be impulsive, but I'm not trying to like actively suck for comedic value. I do think Fanon has a potential for massive upside. And, again, who's more likely to give points, Fanon or Roman Wilson? I'm like, it's probably pretty close. I mean, it's probably pretty close there. Maybe even more toward the Fanon drum beat got loud at the end of the season. LFGATX Bearcat, hey, thanks so much for coming in and hanging out. Dirty P says, I'm still holding out for Wix. You guys pee too clean to see the vision. All right. We'll see, Dirty P. We'll see. I mean, they say drops are not a sticky stat. So if Wix can figure out how to, get his hands on the ball, maybe he won't have to join Bo Melton in the cornerback room. Greg says, gee, Mr. Candles, I sat out BBM this year, so I'm pulling for you. Hey, me too. I would love to get a team to the finals this year. Absolutely love it. That would be a dream. That would be a dream for me to get a finals team, and let alone having a true sweat. That would be absolutely electric. Hey, thanks for Fun Summer Chad. Glad to be whatever part of it. Hey, Best Ball Call, you were a huge part of it. You were one of the first people in this channel when I was literally streaming to nobody. It takes a lot for somebody to be the first person into a channel, right? Like so it means a lot that you came out, and thank you. And also, if you don't subscribe to Best Ball on Call, you should. he's putting out stuff. He had a great Dynasty draft. I caught up with that yesterday. And yeah, again, thanks so much, Best Ball on Call. Really appreciate the support. Huim says, the guy who was saying Savion is the best pick told you Fannin was right. Don't get too happy. Hey, Huim, you are a very sharp drafter. So anytime I hold a position with you, I am not going to complain. But the good news, people, is we're just getting started. And if you're into BRs, we're going to be doing those into BR fall and winter. And then this will cycle. I'll be doing big boards before you know it. But again, I'm thrilled that this is the end of BBMs, but it's just the start of other stuff. And again, tomorrow I'll run sprints or puppies if people still want best ball content up until Thursday. I'll primarily do those, and then because there's going to be BRs all season. B Grandy, what a summer been fun. Chat, thanks for streams. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out, B Grandy. Really appreciate it. Thanks for drafting with me. It's been awesome. Let's hop into something. Let's hop into a BR. Let's get into a BR. All right. We'll just hop into a main BR and see how she goes. If anyone wants to hop in, they are welcome. These are, 6-person drafts. So the same scoring as BBM. It's 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 flex. Typically, I would like a running back in the flex in the main BR. That's a different story in the dog bowl, where I am more open to wide receiver in the flex, because sometimes running back really rise up and you could find yourself, making kind of losing a lot of projection just to force a running back. And so I'm much more open to that. Whereas in BR, it takes something kind of unique for me to want to get a third receiver in. Maybe that's a specific build or a stack or a bring back. So that's just my typical thing. These are all rules of thumb. The only hard and fast rule is I will never put tight end in the flex in BR that's not a prime time or short slate. I think in the short slates, you could consider it, but I think on a full slate with no bye weeks, you are just vaporizing projection to do that. Like, you are going down an extremely narrow path to get tight end in the flex. So I won't do that. There's 1 week this year where it works. If that's the week I don't win, that's fine. Like, it's just, I don't think you should do that. I think you're just getting way too gal brained. Who says, I'm thinking about making a Bijan 101 stand. Oh man, I'm making a CMC 101 stand. And I guess I'll take Bijan there. We'll see what happens. We'll see what CKN does. Yeah, the Mastiff is still open. If we win BBM, we'll max the Mastiff next year. All right, let's do Bijan. I'll do Bijan here. Well, we won't get cute in this first one, but nobody is making you take these top picks. Nobody is making you take Bijan at 3 or Gibbs at 4. You are more than welcomed and in fact encouraged to start your team with Drake London, with Bucky Irving, with Chase Brown. I think all those things are perfectly acceptable to do, especially if you're not maxing the contest. I feel like if you maybe getting 1 or 2 unique bullets and going that way, I think those things are fine. You do not have to get too rigid with ADP at all, and I think that's a trap. That's very easy to fall into in this format. All right, let's see. Josh Daniels goes. What do we want to do? What kind of team do we want to build? I don't love having running back facing running back. I would almost rather have receiver. But you know what? All right, let's do Bucky versus Bijan. I generally, as a general DFS, old school DFS rule, you didn't want 2 running backs facing each other, but I do really like these 2 running backs. So let's try that. So let's have this, let's say that a lot happens on the ground between Bucky and Bijan in this particular team. This will enable us to try to do some kind of a weird stack, another wide receiver. I would have loved Bowers. I think that would have been fun. I think because I've committed us to scrolling down at receiver, I'm going to just take an elite tight end here. So let's take George Kittle. Let's take George Kittle on this team, and maybe that's going to lead us to the weird build we want. Maybe we'll do like Darnold and JSN on this team. So let's queue up JSN. And the good thing about BR is if you get sniped on your stack, just do something else. Like, don't panic. If you're drafting on your phone, it will ghost out positions you cannot take. Like, it's showing me running backs, but I can't take another running back. If you draft on your phone, the tab goes gray and you can't see them, which is actually a little annoying because I like to be able to see who's left just for my own knowledge as I'm drafting these. But let's try that. Like Tet McMillan. All right, so there goes Tet McMillan. You know, if somebody took JSN, then I could take Sutton and Nix. I could take MHJ and Harrison. But let's do this. Let's grab JSN here. And now that we've taken JSN, nobody is going to take Darnold. Nobody's going to take Sam Darnold from us, so I don't need to take them next. The other thing that's important in BRs to do is look at positions. So again, what happens is you can only take one quarterback. So if everybody between you and your next pick has taken a quarterback, don't take your quarterback. I know it seems obvious, but this is just like, you can get a huge edge on these kind of things because not everybody does this, right? Like in my position, you know, if I took a quarterback, it might be, if there was a quarterback like Baker, who I thought might go, I'd say, okay, J-Dubs and Wonder Kid need quarterbacks. Let me just grab my quarterback now. But had they all filled out their QB roster, I could push that. Like this guy, J-Dubs, or I know who J-Dubs is. He's in the chat here. He can't take another running back or wide receiver. Brandon, he can't take another running back. So in this position, if I wanted a running back, I don't have to take it here. I could push it to my next one because nobody in between my next two picks can grab a running back. So, you know, we can actually use that because none of these guys can take a running back. I guess they can take a receiver. I can't. I'm the one who can't take a running back. All right. Shoot. All right, let's take a guy that I think is going to be pretty unknown. Let's take Jerry Jeudy here. Let's take Jerry Jeudy. I think he's going to be low owned. And what this also does is just opens up, if I want to put Flacco in, you know, I could easily pivot to a Flacco Jeudy stack, or I could just keep my Darnold JSN stack. So, you know, staying flexible in these, super important. Being mindful of other drafters, super important. What positions they have available. You know, you can click on their teams and see if they're obviously gearing towards a quarterback like J-Dubs. He has Evans and Drake London. Odds are he's probably looking at he was probably looking at Baker there. But again, you know, J-Dubs, if someone had taken Evans, he could have pivoted to Goff. He could have pivoted to Penix. So again, just keeping those pivots in mind makes a ton of sense. So that's our BR team. We got Darnold, Bijan, Bucky, JSN, Jerry Jeudy, and George Kittle. And we'll run another one. All right, let's see. Joel says, my first BR, got to get the sea legs back. Yeah, I like the team that you put together there. Huham says, Bijan versus Tampa Bay feels very juicy. Yeah, I like, yeah, I mean, you can't do too much better than the running back versus Tampa. I mean, that's a game that should really have a lot of points in a dome with two defenses where we don't think are going to be that great. Huham's just got Chase and Bowers and a puppy too. Oh, yeah, that's pretty nice, assuming you were the 101 there. Huham's likes Njoku. Yeah, I don't mind Njoku in this content. Tight end is another one. There are so many tight ends. Like, this BR is over. Laporta's there. Kraft is there. If you like Evan Ingram, Pitts. If you want to scroll down, you can get Okonkwo. You know, you can get Theo Johnson. Like, if you really need a bring back. I don't think bring back is absolutely critical in BR, but if you're bring back pilled, there are definitely options. Mike Rob says, first Darnold, the next Flacco stacks. Chad, come back to the people. All right, Mike, we're going to run one more here. Let's run another one, and maybe we'll find a better quarterback because I don't want to revolt. I don't want the chat to revolt because we're taking wonky quarterbacks here. Let's see what we can do. I'm waiting for 4. If anyone wants to hop on in. All right. Yeah, so I'm almost thinking, you know, if I want to do a little prep and come up with some different combinations before the BRs, think about different stacks I want to do and maybe talk about those before I do them rather than just like ripping BRs. I'm, you know, not exactly sure how we want to do these, but, you know, I don't know what people like. I think a lot of people just like to see ripping BRs, which I am more than fine to do. I will probably have to switch to Wildcats like during the week because I don't know that I want to max the BR every time, and it gets kind of expensive. Like to be perfectly honest with you, I mean it adds up quick. If you do $7 BRs that run every 5 minutes, in a 3-hour stream, you can run up quite a tab there. So we'll probably be doing some of the wildcard stuff for the content, but we'll see what we do. Hopefully we spike something early, and then we can just max BRs, see what happens. All right, let's see. Huhaim says, I honestly think a lot of the scroll downs will be for Brown, so I'm not going to do it as much. Are you talking about Njoku? Like in your BR, Njoku went, yeah, that's the thing. I think people are very bring back killed. And so with Chase Brown, with Higgins, and with Jamar Chase all going in every single BR, you are very likely to get at least one of those 3 drafters looking for a bring back. So I think you're right there. Maybe Judy wasn't the world's greatest bring back, but maybe it's not too bad because I'm going to be competing against a lot of Burrow stacks and not a ton of Darnold stacks. And maybe that's because Darnold sucks and you shouldn't be rostering him in BR. Like that's perfectly reasonable conclusion to draw. But, we're going to try to, make some unique stuff so that we're competing against a smaller pool of lineups when the stacks do fall our way in a given week here. All right, let's see. Mike Rob says, yes. Yeah, it's easy to take Darnold when you're playing with site credit. I'll have to Sharpie my own $5,300 shirt. All right, we got the 101. And I'm going to live my truth and take McCaffrey first overall. Joel says, hardest part of me is remembering what I've drafted through the week so I don't dupe myself. Yeah, you don't want to dupe yourself. You can unironically dupe yourself in BBM because with Podluck, you could have 2 of the exact same team. Like one survives and one doesn't. Like Elgrew, the one that won BBM last year, I'm pretty sure he survived week 15 by like less than a point. And in another pod, maybe that team doesn't survive and he's done. Like, I'm not saying to dupe yourself in BR, but I'm saying like, if it happens, it's actually not like that horrific. Like, yes, it's bad if you get both teams to the finals, but that also means you constructed a god tier team. But the odds are that's like not going to happen. Plus, it's probably just not good overall. But it's not like the end of the world. Whereas in BR, it is objectively terrible because you literally all you're doing is chopping with yourself and you're just vaporizing like money. It's just not good. You don't want to do it in BR in the same contest anyway. Greg says, I've been duping myself since February. See you all in the finals. Yeah. Well, we want to see that Greg ladder at the top of the finals, just winning all of the money there. All right, let's see. Let's think about some other stacks we want here. If we look at the quarterbacks, if we start scrolling down, guys that won't be his own that I think could be good. I mean, Justin Fields, he can be a slate breaker. He's going undrafted in contests. I think Love against Detroit, pretty fun. He's going low drafted. This Carolina Jags game could have fireworks. Daniel Jones, Miami's defense is famously god-awful. Daniel Jones has some rushing upside. Guys like Pittman, pretty rarely drafted. Like there's some fun stuff you can do if you don't just lock yourself into Burrow, Baker, Murray, Nix, like these guys up here. I think if you're willing to scroll, you really week 1 we've got a shot at something cool. Oh, Mike's in at the 5. Nice. I missed you there. All right, so wait, you're Money 888. Okay, gotcha. He takes Jonathan Taylor there. Oh yeah, gotta snipe Darnold. Yeah, that's my nightmare. Is as I go to set up a Sam Darnold stack and I don't get it. You hate to see it. All right, so Drake London goes. McCaffrey London is like my white whale. I would love to get that, but I don't know if I'm sure it will happen. You run enough BRs. In the ideal world, you can get there. Let's see what Davis does. He takes Bauer. I actually think Chase Brown might. I think you could argue Chase Brown should be the 101. And I know that's sounds absolutely insane, but I think against Cleveland, I think you really could legitimately make that argument. I'm also just going to take Mike Evans because I think Atlanta's defense is bad and everyone is hurt in Tampa Bay. So we'll start the team with CMC, Chase Brown, and Mike Evans. But truly, like Chase Brown is going to be an absolute volume monster. Cincinnati, we think Cincinnati is going to win. I think they're 5.5 point favorites, but in my head, it feels like they should be favored by more. So I'm willing to just think that he ends up in a great game script and take him. Who says Bijan 101, CMC 102. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just of the view that a healthy CMC is like should be the 101 on any slate, but Bijan, I would not fault anyone for taking Bijan at home against Tampa Bay as their first overall pick, like period, the end. Not even looking at other stuff. So I'm not going to say that's like wrong. I don't want to have no Bijan this slate. That seems bad. I'm much more okay having no Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase to be the 101, I feel like a lot has to break his way. I have a really hard time paying that for him. Like really, really hard time paying that in a weekly BR here against the Browns. And maybe, or on Friday, on Sunday afternoon, that's going to seem really stupid, but that is really tough for me. Really tough for me to get to. All right, let's see. What do we want to do? Some interesting choices here for us. I'm a little torn. If you can't tell what I want to do. Maybe let's go Tet. Maybe let's go Tet Young. I'm going to queue up Tet. I'll make him my next wide receiver there. I don't really care which tight end I get. Baker's still there, but I think I'm going to go Bryce Young instead. So we'll go Bryce Young here. We'll leave Baker. I think this combination would have a lot more Baker teams than Young teams. So let's do that. And then if we want to scroll down for a tight end, I could queue up Brenton Strange and hope that our friend Mike doesn't decide to snipe me. Because again, if I miss out on Brenton Strange, I just take Tyler Warren. That seems good. I take Sam Laporta. I take Tucker Kraft. Like I think there's so many tight ends. Like if you get sniped in BR, like it's not worth tilting. There's always something else you can do. So let's see what happens. Joel says, since he is cursed at Cleveland, week 1 upset lock. Oh man. Joel says, tough getting used to 30-second clocks. Oh, that's what it is, Joel. They are 30-second clocks. I didn't realize that. All right, I'm going to hop in one more just to make sure we get out of here on time. I'll go back to that one. I think we'll be able to rock one more, and then I will be out of here before ship chasing. If you want to get in, waiting for three, I'll pull this up. The other thing that you can easily do in BRs is at the end of it, you can just set your queue and head on out. Especially, see, none of these guys need tight ends, right? So I know I'm going to get Brenton Strange now, so I don't have to worry about it. So this team will have Bryce Young, CMC, Chase Brown, Mike Evans, Ted McMillan, and Brenton Strange. So we have a little Carolina Jags situation there combined with CMC and Chase Brown. Seems good. I'm not going to complain about, teams that come together like this. So we will see what happens. Let's see what our friend Mike did. He went CJ Stroud, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Nico Collins, Amon-Ra, and Kyle Pitts. Seems good to me. Like the team. Good luck, Mike. I like what you put together there. All right, let's see. 4 of 6. If anyone wants to hop on in. Waiting for Who says JT Sanders may be the scroll you need with Coker out. Who-Hames. It's a good call. Maybe he ends up being our tight end on this final BR of the stream. Again, I've only asked once this stream. I should ask more. Please like and subscribe. It does me so much good. It helps push us out to the algo, so it keeps the lights on and us rolling on into the fall and winter. We're in at the 3-hole. Don't think I see anybody in here that I recognize. Of course, I see Chad G20 next to me. I'm not affiliated with Chad G20. I don't know who that is. I would be pretty on high alert if I came into a draft and 2 people named Chad were sitting next to each other in the draft. I would be like, I would be a little worried about collusion here, but we'll see. We'll see. You know, if they gift me something, it was purely an accident here. So we are waiting for 20 seconds here, and then we'll get on out. Yeah, 30-second clocks. I didn't even realize that. But you're right. I don't mind it, actually. I almost feel like in BR, I'd rather have that little additional time, because there will be times when you have a stack in mind and like you just get sniped kind of out of the blue, and you need to like completely retool your plan. So I don't mind it that much. One of us, CMC 101. There we go. All right. I'm debating foregoing this first round and then scrolling into the depths. But you know what? Let's not get fancy. Let's take Bijan here. I think taking Bijan against Atlanta is fine. I think that is probably. Let's not pass it. I can get fancy on my own time, but we'll take Bijan here. Especially Huhames is a Bijan supporter. I don't want to I don't want to lose support here. Huhames says, "Wonder if there's an alternate universe where last names are first names are last names." Would you be would you be Hames who? Would you your username would be Hames who? I'd be Candles Chad. Mike Rob says the chase fade at 101 is smart. He averages 4 catches and 40 yards and only 1 TD in 3 games against Cleveland. Mike, even without that stat, I just feel like he's too expensive. He's too expensive, and I feel like the running backs are going to project for so much more, and he has to smash. Like I'm just, and of course Drake London's here. You know what? Let's take Brock. Oh shoot, what do I want to do? I'm going to take Brock Bowers. We're going to get the number 1 tight end on the slate here. I feel like I either want Brock Bowers or like nobody. I know I took Kittle in that other one, but I was trying to build a Darnold thing, so that was a little bit of a different circumstance. But let's get Brock Bowers onto the team, and then let's think of another fun stack here. I don't mind taking Higgins. I don't mind taking Higgins opposite, as a little bit of leverage on all the people who are jamming Jamar Chase number 1, and we didn't get Chase Brown on this team, so we could take Higgins. Let's see. I'll queue up Burrow. I probably won't get Burrow, but we'll see. We'll put him into the hopper. Throw Higgins on there. I almost feel like if I take Burrow naked, nobody will take Higgins from me. We could try to do that, but that might be a little Galbraith. Let me see. The chase drafter is here, so if he doesn't take Burrow, we might be able to take Higgins and push Burrow around. We'll see. People also just do weird stuff, so. I'm almost thinking of making this just a Flacco Judy team, but I could be persuaded to do something other than that. All right, Burt Brown. So he takes Burrow. I don't know if this maybe if that leads me to do something else. Let's take Josh Jacobs. I'll take an elite running back instead. We'll table the T. Higgins thought on this particular team. So we'll push that. Huhames says, yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Mike says, Jamar, last 2 combined week 1 games, also 11 catches, 101 yards combined. So it seems like they may not be the fastest starters since they don't play much preseason. Yeah, I could see that too. I definitely feel like having the starters play a little bit of preseason is a good thing. Like I don't know. I think empirically it's kind of shown that too. This is a squad, says Greg. All right, I'm glad you're on board. Don't drop the baby country. Oh God. Well, now I'm feeling a lot of pressure here. I feel like I have a little bit of an idea of what I want to do. So Amon-Ra goes. I would love T. Higgins here. If I don't get T. Higgins, maybe we take Tyreek. I'm a little more into Tyreek than I am Puka. I mean, Puka's fine, but let's get Higgins onto this team. I have a plan for what I want to do at the end of the team. So we'll take Higgins. Let's see. So once I pick, all right. So quarterback. This guy could take a quarterback. This guy could take a quarterback. My plan is not to get too clever. Is Jared Goff and my king, Jameson Williams. I think that would be kind of a fun way to wind this team up. So we'll see if we're able to get that, and then we'll get on out of here. Of course, people are taking their full 30 seconds. I think this Burp Bra guy's autoing, but I'm not even really sure. But it's a little annoying. He's taking his entire clock each time because I want it to be done at 10, and it is 10 exactly. It is 10 exactly. So I really need to wait another 30 seconds for Burp Bra 3. Dear God. Dear God. This is where the 30-second clocks can be a little bit killer. So do we want to take Goff or JMO first? That is going to be the question for us. That guy takes Njoku. Let's take JMO first, because if we have to take a stacked quarterback, we could take Geno Smith. If I need to take Geno to pair with Bowers, I can do it. And that will wrap it up. Scrolling to the deepest depths of Narnia. I could also take naked Justin Fields. That is another option. So we'll leave ourselves. The preference would be to do Goff and JMO, but if we don't get Goff, that's okay. We need to dodge two people who need quarterbacks. We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. Huhaim said they did play some this year. I had forgotten that. But with that, Ashton Genty goes Black Mamba on the clock. People that just cue their final pick and don't push the plane are a threat to society. Hey, Hartman, GM to you. We're just wrapping up this BR before we get on out of here. We got Bijan, Jacobs, T. Higgins, Jameson Williams, and Brock Bowers. We wind it up with Jared Goff, and that will do it. Thank you all so much for hanging out. I will see you all again tomorrow. Take care, everyone.